Thought I had it. I had to get the big gun.
I wasn't gonna bet on that one.
Oh, well, it popped right after that. I just hit a little knot. Pop, pop.
Did you see your boy Jimmy Lutz on in Chicago?
Yeah, I did. Boy. The abuse in the comment section can be thick.
About what?
All kinds of stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was just shooting bows and chatting with Brandon, and I was getting beat up hard. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, that whole thing your friend Joe Rogan says about not reading the comments.
Don't read him. He's right. He's so right. I don't know what I'm reading him for.
Well, and definitely from like just a peer perspective, you're like, hey, I want this thing to be pure.
Yeah.
You know, from artist or whatever, the semantics of it. Like, you can't get too deep into the weeds on those things because they do influence how you think. They really do.
It does. I can attest to that. I was reading something yesterday. I was sitting in the hot tub, my normal 30-minute evening route, and I decided, I'm going to go check this out. I didn't realize this was up.
Chest hair flowing.
Yeah, just out in the breeze. And foolishly went and read some of the comments, and I was like, wow, these people are mean.
Did you have beardsicles at that point?
No, it wasn't that cold yesterday. Now, a couple weeks ago, I think it was 3 weeks ago, I was sitting outside in the hot tub because I've been gone for like 19 days or 18 days with this last cycle. Yeah, it is a lot. And when I left, it was really brittle cold. And when you'd sit out in the hot tub, by the time you were done, you had ice on your face.
Yeah.
And a little bit on the hot.
That's my favorite time of year to do a hot tub.
It's good.
Yeah, I love it.
It's definitely good. But yeah, and then when I was gone, the heat was gone out of the house and all the pipes froze. And I finished fixing all that yesterday.
You had a little frozen
to the tune of 6 different broken pipes, which I fixed all of. And I have to give a shout out and a thank you to Forrest Rogers, Joel Neubauer, and Doug Glorfield, who all tried to find it, and then Forrest and Joel tried to fix the one pipe that was broken because, side note, the water that goes to my house goes to the archery shop. So if I got to shut the water off to my house because there's a leak, the archery shop doesn't have water.
Yeah, that's a bad
situation.
So
I think they were only out for about 24 hours between those 3 guys coordinated and figured out what was wrong, and then Forrest ran to the hardware store and got just a shutoff valve to put over the one pipe so it would stop. So you could turn the pressure back on. And then Joel went in and stuffed a bunch of insulation in certain spots, trying to keep the cold out. But when I got home, ironically, somebody was here. Justin was staying here. He was going to the bison ranch. So he was in my house Sunday morning. I got back Sunday evening, and everything was still frozen Sunday morning. And when I got back here Sunday evening, one of the pipes underneath the house had thawed out and was pumping water everywhere. It ran the well dry and ran water all the way down to the driveway. So I got home to that, had to turn the main off again, and the next day got it all pretty much fixed. Ooh, and you're going fat, aren't you? Look at that. Get in there tight.
Yeah, we're stuffed up.
We should be good the rest of the time, man.
Yeah.
That's nice. But yeah, so got that all straightened out and had to cut 4 holes in my floor to find where all the broken pipes were. I'm replacing the kitchen here shortly, so I was ripping the floor up anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But got it figured out by like 12:30, 1 o'clock that day.
The whole place got a little makeover in here too.
Yeah,
got a little lift and tuck or something.
Yeah, something like that. When my first couple weeks there, my girlfriend came over and cleaned everything and organized everything. Did a good job.
Looks beautiful in here.
Yeah, it's definitely the cleanest it's probably ever looked. I think. Probably you'd say that, yeah.
Yeah,
probably never looked this clean.
Yeah, from organized. Yeah, we can see the bench over there.
Yeah, under the bench ain't done yet, but that'll be its own another time.
Yeah.
But cleaned up everything. Did a really good job. Thank you, baby. Appreciate it. It was very nice of her. She was trying to fill her time while I was gone.
So I have a great segue here. After you got done smearing Jimmy Lutz for trigger punching in the Lancaster Classic, he comes back.
I didn't smear him. That's not fair.
Publicly smeared him on the internet, saying he had no pressure in the bow and you can't shoot like that under pressure, and it's just a system that breaks down. He comes back the following week and pops his way into is that the NFAA? What are they? I don't know the name of that.
I don't know.
The one in Chicago, though, where they shoot.
Is it blue and white?
Blueface.
Yeah, it's NFAA Blueface.
Yeah.
National Field Archery Association.
Yeah, so he takes that event down, and that guy's trending, man.
Hey, if I could shoot that way effectively, I would.
Yeah.
Because it is effortless when there's no stress.
Why do guys that like to punch the trigger like less let off on their bow?
It forces their front hand to sit harder. So as it gives you more front hand pressure. Less let off, more pressure in your hand.
Well, the Lancaster Classic was another epic showdown, and we have the bow that won right there. I mean, not the bow, but
gotcha.
the bow model.
Yeah, the
bow model. So
sequel S235.
So give that thing your little MFJJ top to bottom, because Josh hasn't really seen this bow yet. I built it, and I would say with very minimal hand holding this time around. Like, that is 90... That's 100% my work.
You ready for a live criticism?
Yeah, with a few ideas on the way.
Might want to tighten this down.
Okay, show the camera. Show the camera.
Well, his string stops wobbling in there loose. So
I thought that was a feature.
No, that is not a feature. That's not ideal. In fact, that'll change your impact point. You don't want that.
Yeah.
And it's been moving around there for a bit because it's all sanded.
All right, so let me take the boys through the build as you get your eyes on it.
Do you want to hold it for it?
No, you can hold it.
Okay.
So top to bottom, Dart Sequel ST35. It's their 35 model. It also comes in 33, 31. I went with the longer axle to axle because, typically longer axle to axle's a little more forgiving, holds a little steadier. I need all the help I can get, frankly.
Well, it's a great hybrid platform. Hunt and shoot target and shoot 3D with it. If you had to pick one bow, a 35-inch axle to axle is a very hard bow to beat.
Yeah, Jacob Slusar's won Lancaster with that bow model.
And ironically, not terribly different stabilizer lengths.
Yeah.
He was even using a shorter stabilizer.
Which is pretty crazy.
For the record, Liquid Death Killer Cola is pretty damn good.
You think so?
Yeah, I had an Audible over here in case I was not feeling it. A little Celsius.
Yeah.
This is pretty damn good. I can drink that.
Yeah, now if you're going to compare it to an actual cola, what do you think?
It's watered down in comparison, but but the flavor
But
in
I mean,
an
it's
actual
only got
cola
10 calories. To even replicate it is pretty
I don't know.
sweet.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. It's very mild on the flavor, but the flavor's still adequate.
Well, Liquid Death ran a Super Bowl commercial, so apparently they're a lot bigger than I thought they were.
Oh, they're huge. You didn't know that?
I knew they were big, but Super Bowl commercial big, I did not know.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah.
With their Liquid Death.
My vision for that bow is I wanted it to be kind of like a 3D bow, accurate as possible, something I can take to these events and really do my best with. So I got a small housing on it on the XL Landslide, right, with a fixed version.
Yep.
With the small housing on the front. And then I got that new freaking Hamsky peep on the peep side of it. What's the model that called where you have the interchangeable
lenses?
Twisties?
Is it
and
for
lenses?
clarification or verification? Is it for with a lens or without a lens?
It's for both. You can put the lenses in it.
No.
Yeah.
They make two different types of peeps. Okay. They have both that take lenses and don't.
Okay.
They have ones that are intended to clarify a lens up here, and then there's ones that are intended to clear the pin.
I think it's the more traditional one. Is that Clarify?
Clarify, yeah. I think that's called the DS, if I remember right.
I think I got that right.
The other one is for clearing up your pin.
Yeah.
So it's for corrective vision.
These things cost a lot, frankly. I think they're $250 retail or something
similar. They're expensive.
Yeah. But you can truly twist in and twist out your peep size to absolutely dial in your peep to housing.
100%.
So I was pretty impressed by that. I mean, and it is a one-time purchase, so I guess, if you're a really full send kind of person, maybe something to consider. Most times than not, I would not buy something that expensive for a peep, but, if it's going to be on a bow that I shoot a lot, whatever, it's there.
Well, and the reality of it, Tim, is it's a one-time purchase, and what you bought was the peep with the entire kit, which you can buy just the peep.
Peep with the kit, yeah.
So if you have all the lenses, all the hole sizes, and you have 3 bows later, you could put just the peep itself and not the kit, and it would be significantly cheaper and still cannibalize all those parts.
Yeah.
For different purposes. But yes, the whole master kit's $250, but it's I said, one-time purchase. And you can buy it without lenses too. So if you just want to have the ability to interchange the apertures, but not the lenses themselves, it's significantly cheaper. Most of what you're paying for is the lenses.
Yeah. And then the Hamsky Epsilon, which has been a pretty traditional rest. That hasn't really changed too much, right?
Yep.
I did have the inner bracket of that actually come loose, and I went back in and Loctited them.
Oh,
Those
gotcha.
2 screws that screw into the bracket.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened already.
Side note to people, if you're going to use this bow, I would strongly encourage the core mount and not a side bracket. We didn't have a core mount when you tried to put this together.
Yeah.
And my bracket will not work on this bow.
Yeah, your bracket doesn't work.
My personal bracket won't move it over far enough. It's the first bow I've found that I can't move the rest far enough over with my bracket. Because my bracket is the middle setting on this. and that's it.
It just doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
And then I have your bars on there. I think that's 15 on the front.
Yeah, it looks like a 15 and 10.
10 on the back.
Yeah.
4 ounces on the front, 8 ounces on the back. I just kind of carried that forward from my last bow setup, and I haven't really had the time to, dial it in. But that bow's like, I would say 97% there, because I was getting it ready for a shoot that we had got canceled. And so I've shot my third axis. I probably got 100 arrows through it. Feels good. There's a couple of features on that bow that I think are interesting. The first one is the center shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that makes it really easy. Like, I know you guys can measure off the inside of the shelf and figure out center shot, but I think that's just a really simple way that's like, hey, line this thing up, knucklehead, and Josh does think I'm a little bit inside. I know it's very close.
It's very close. It's probably just slightly inside, and we should probably give credit where credit is due. I believe that was first on PSE bows.
Was it?
Originally, yeah. I think if I remember right now, message down below if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure PSE did that first.
Yeah, I don't know my bow history that well, but that's pretty nice just for your knuckleheads, you guys that are like, hey, let's slap this on, and I don't have experience working on a bow. And then I did the string swap with the Gas Ghost XV. Did I say that right? Gas Ghost XV strings. I've ran those on target bows, and I've had good luck with them. And the string swap was probably the most detailed bow procedure I've done on my own.
Yeah, there's a lot going on to do that.
And I just
especially with that yoke system, the way you got to pull it through there.
I took it slow. I took a lot of photos. You and I have done one in the past where you kind of detailed me out on the process. But for me to learn, I really have to do it. But I just set it, took my photos, referenced my photos, took my time. And there was only one little doodad in there that was probably something that might give a person a hiccup, and that would be the yokes. Getting the yokes on. And the way we did that was Michael went by and he's like, hey, you want to know how to do the yokes? I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, pop them on, or spin the wheel, pop the yokes on, and then
roll the wheel over,
then roll the wheel.
Or 360, yeah.
And I kind of had sorted through that in my head a little bit, wondering if that was possible, and he suggested that, and that was like, boom.
It's very easy.
Yeah, so those went on. And then those timing features, I haven't got a chance to really use the timing features yet, because the first time I messed with that bow at a First Impressions video, it was in time. And I wasn't going to take it out of time to put it in time, although I could have, and I probably should have looking back. But the timing system on that yoke is really super simple. It just has a set that you crack the set, and then you physically twist the bottom.
Yeah, it's no different than twisting it by taking it off of the cable yoke, right, off of the peg. But you can make a smaller twist.
You can do it with your hand.
Yeah, you can do it with your hand. You can make a quarter turn or an eighth turn if you want.
The funny thing was when I was timing that in your draw board, someone looked at it and they said, "Oh, that's close enough." And it was like maybe a 30-second out, and I was like, why would we even go with close enough? We have infinite adjustment.
Yeah, you can literally remove that. Why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't we?
I'd love to see Darton either sell this part or license it.
I would too.
And let other manufacturers, because it's the simplest freaking technology I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't thread in and out. It just spins, and your set screw holds it in place. It's like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, just obvious solutions. It's honestly, when I saw that, I had the same reaction to that as when I first saw the deadlock system from Bowtech. It's like, why the hell did that take so long? And Jesus, if that's not simple.
Yeah, it's one of those things you look at and it's like,
why?
Why hasn't it been there?
Why hasn't it been there before? Like, it's a brilliant solution. You're already running a dual side yoke anyway, right? Like, just put it in the part. So I need to call Pete and see where they're at on that, because I know they were contemplating licensing it, but I don't know if they decided to.
It would be great. It would be a great thing for the industry. Technologies that's up to them if they decide they want to use it for other, companies or license it or whatever they would call that agreement. But really handy system, very simple, very straightforward. I was able to figure it out, and I can't imagine a simpler way to do it.
Well, regardless of what bow I end up using in the long run this year, if they'll sell me that part, I'm putting that on every bow I play with that has a yoke, or because I'm doing strings for them anyway, and just get the adjustments for putting it on for ordering gas modified cables for that, because that is just a no frickin' brainer. That is so simple.
Yeah, and I would say for me,
just dumb simple.
Mechanically, things have been hit or miss through my life. Like, working on some things I really despise. Like, in high school, we did a lot of body work. I had a friend who was into it, and I would help him. And I just thought body work was like the worst thing ever. It was like,
yeah, I'm not a fan.
So many monotonous.
That's like finish carpentry.
Tedious.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm a framer. I ain't a finish guy.
Yeah, and then there's other things mechanically that I've enjoyed doing, and I would say like putting that bow together. I enjoyed the process. It was fun. pretty therapeutic, honestly. Yeah, we'll give it some air.
I think you got a little gung-ho.
But I did enjoy the process of putting that thing together. It was fun to do. Yeah, we're good.
You say that. I don't know. Might have just crammed a little too much in too early. You got to warm it up first, Tim. All right, we'll see. We'll find out if we're freezing here in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
All in all, I looking this over, I think you did a good job. I don't have tools to measure things, but I would probably put one twist in your string here because of the way that peep and loop's orientated. And it looked like you probably could put a twist or two in each cable, which didn't you mention that it was light?
Yeah, it's like 69 pounds or something.
Yeah, so for those listening, anytime you have a bow that doesn't hit its peak weight, it's probably a string and cable position. So you would either shorten your cables equally or lengthen your string. Traditionally, you always want to shorten. You don't want to lengthen things if you have a choice. So I would put 2 twists in each cable. Your bow would remain timed. Your tune would remain adequate, but your poundage would go up a little bit. That's probably what you're missing.
And typically what I've always seen in the past is like if you have a new bow, new strings, taut strings, it's usually a pinch over 70.
71, 72 is real common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that snap crackle pop.
I hear it picking up. I hear it picking up. Just hope it's not too late.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on the bow overall. Obviously, I got to get more reps with it, but it was a good learning experience. I feel like I can pretty confidently go into a bow build and just kind of be able to sift my way through it. Maybe I don't know the finer details, but kind of understand some of the broader concepts. So that's good.
It's not a complicated task.
No,
it's really not. It's just intimidating for one reason.
And I think if you kind of summarize it, you set your arrow at center shot, right? Mm-hmm. You level it out, and then get your soft knots, get your loop, arrows level, and then you just kind of expand on that.
Yeah. The
string swap is, I don't know. Someone asked me how hard it was, and I said for a guy who's not super mechanically gifted, I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10, meaning like I think most people could do it, but also I wouldn't do it without just taking your time and being methodical, Take
Sure.
good photos. And if you have zero mechanical incline, like I would want someone there holding my hand. Yeah. But yeah. Happy to have her done.
Looks good.
Ready to get some more arrows through
Good job. I'm mildly proud of you.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course, I'll have to ask the boys how much help they really got.
No, it was very little.
I was not present, so I do not know.
Joel was there.
Look at you. You were right. You're right. You're right on there.
Joel was there, and we bounced a few ideas off of him, but yeah, it was really.
Well, I know your initial build, not the strings, was that Sunday, right? When we went down there and watched the tail end of that. Because you were looking for a part, and I ended up staying and watching the rest of the Lancaster, which was quite enjoyable.
Yeah,
quite
so I kind of built it twice. The people.
Well, that's good practice, though.
Yeah, the people won't really get credit for that on the video, but I basically built it to get it ready to shoot, and then we ordered strings, and then the strings came, and then you're basically starting from scratch with a little more experience.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, good work, man.
It's cool. Yeah. Now all that said, if a person builds a bow on their own, does that mean they don't need an archery shop anymore?
Not at all. No, there's always a use and a good resource for an archery shop, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's bouncing ideas off or asking about tuning techniques if they share that information, but a resource to get products from. And when you have issues, it's a resource to deal with the issues. Mm-hmm. It's always good, right? So,
yeah.
Or to critique your work. Say, hey, what do you think of what I did? Look it over. Hey, you did a good job. Oh, hey, this looks like ass. You're going to get one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay, you can probably close that now. Good job.
Well, Viva la Mexico. So, did you get your residency while you were down there?
I've been there enough, you would think. Yeah, no, I was fortunately invited to go down on a Coues deer hunt, which I'd never hunt Coues deer. I knew literally nothing about Coues deer.
Were they even on your radar?
No. Well, it's on my list because it has antlers. Mm-hmm. So it's on my list.
What do we call that? The North American?
The Antler Slam, North American Antler Slam.
Poor man's Antler Slam?
Yeah. Anything with antlers, folks. That's what I'm going for. Eliminates a lot of the really expensive stuff. There's still a couple of expensive ones on there. And ironically, now that I've started talking about this a lot more, I've actually been paying attention and focusing, and I got like 3 or 4 things I could possibly do this next coming hunting season.
Oh, wow.
To check off that list, because there's a lot that aren't super expensive.
That's a good goal.
It's reasonable, but ideally I wait till after all my draws come out and see if I drew anything, and then go from there. But I keep saying a lot. Holy crap, my goodness! In Mexico,
Out of the loop, man.
yeah, well, I flew into Hermosillo, and should I talk about the coming in, coming out, what it's like?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
We
that's
haven't
always
we haven't discussed that, have we?
that's always one of the bigger apprehensions I feel like to international hunting.
Well, first off, I drove into Mexico prior, so I experienced what that's like. And I've now flown into Mexico, which immediately when I got in the customs line, because it's like my brain didn't even compute, hey, do you have everything you need? What are you even supposed to do? I didn't even look. Like, I grabbed my passport and jumped on a plane, assuming that's good enough.
Yeah.
And yes, that is actually good enough. You're fine. They just want to know how long you're going to be there, why you're there, and do you have anything to declare? The things you're not supposed to bring into the country or that you have to have special paperwork for. It took about 30 to 45 minutes to get through everything. They check your stuff. And once again, the only thing they looked at, which is pretty much standard every time I go somewhere, they want to look at my camera bag for some reason. Every time. And not blaming anybody particular, but I had a money clip with $1,000 in it that was not in my bag. So somebody somewhere took $1,000 out of my suitcase.
Shit.
Yeah. So, and I had it in my bag because of it has like a little knife in the side of it. Somebody had sent me a couple of them.
Yeah, and you can't have knives.
And you can't have a knife on a plane, or I would have put it in my pocket. So I was like, oh, I'll just throw it in my suitcase. And I got there and it was gone. I didn't even notice it until it came time to pay out the staff, because you tip the staff for cooking and whatnot, right? And fortunately, my buddy Steve had extra cash, and I just wrote him a check, because I had checks with me, but I didn't have cash because I had brought it for that. So yeah, some little luggage thief stole $1,000 from me, unfortunately. But such is life. Outside of that, it was pretty harmless. Everybody's waiting for me. There were several guys in camp, I think 5 total, counting myself, and they were all already there and picking me up, and we all drove from Hermosillo to the ranch. It was about hour and a half, something like that. And Hermosillo is actually pretty big. Like I was surprised, like, because driving down from Tucson, didn't pass anything that I would call a good sized town. Like Rocky Point was decent sized, but that was it. And then there was this other sea town that was like really poor. Like when you look at the housing and whatnot, it was like little brick shanties and stuff. Things that you would think you'd see in third world countries. Well, there it is. You know, it's pretty wild. And like 1 or 2 little stores. Outside of that, there was nothing. So I had no idea how many like towns in Mexico were like good size, where there's like populace and businesses and whatnot. And God, you fly into Hermosillo and start driving around, it looks like you're in a Mexican Spokane. Like there's a Walmart and all kinds of different stores and every restaurant you can imagine. In fact, KFC apparently is the most popular restaurant in the world. Like there's KFCs everywhere. No, they told me that. Like KFC is the #1 restaurant in the world. There's more KFCs than anything. And they were really nice looking compared to our KFCs. Our KFCs look like crap. Look like old rat holes that nobody wants to use anymore. Man, they were just crammed full. Lots of fast food places. There was IHOPs down there. Like there's an International House of Pancakes in Hermosillo.
That's
like,
where international comes from, huh?
Yeah, apparently so. But yeah, there was like anything you could think or need to buy, you could actually buy, which was kind of cool, because I'd never went through there. And then drove from Hermosillo to the ranch, got to the ranch, went and tried to shoot some coyotes that night before it got dark, because we had a little bit of daylight left. No luck there.
Any problems getting your bow through customs?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not a thing. They didn't even look at it. Like they sent it through an x-ray machine, didn't even open the case. They wanted to look at my camera gear. That's it. I just wanted to look at my camera gear. So anyway, got there. Everything was golden. And then we proceeded to sit. I think it was 5 days of hunting, if I remember right. And it was all over water holes. It was really dry. It'd been really dry down there for a long time. Like there was no grass. They were just out of vegetation almost anywhere. And, you know, saw deer every day, saw a decent amount of deer, but nothing huge, unfortunately. And by day 3, I was starting to be like, all right, if I see a decent buck, because I've never hunted Coues. I know nothing about Coues. And I like after the first whole day, I was like, hey, can somebody show me a couple of these things so I know what a good sized Coues deer looks like? Because they all look small to me. Like they all look like a dinky whitetail.
Yeah.
And then started showing me a couple different ones. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Like a small basket 4 is actually a pretty nice Coues deer.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. So, and then fortunately, the third day, midday, because you're actually hunting through the middle of the day because of the heat.
Anticipating the
And
water hole?
Their water hole. Yeah, 100 water holes the entire time. I think one guy was sitting somewhere where it wasn't a water hole, where like there was food and water. And consequently, he actually was the other guy who shot a Coues. But this buck came in, and I saw him off in the distance, working his way around this water hole. Came in, didn't think he was going to show up, and then about 15 minutes later, he pulls back down in on me, about 35 yards away, never even looked at me. Like, put his head down the water. There was probably 12, 14 Coues deer in there at the time he was standing there. There was a bunch of Coues off to my right. Awkward shooting position, just repositioned my body, had to move the camera over. Couldn't get the camera turned on. Like, there was just too many critters looking at me. So I still haven't crossed that threshold where it's more important for me to film it than it is to hunt. That is the third time now where I'm like, I'm not fucking turning that thing on. I'm just going to shoot. I got to get better at that if I'm going to record this stuff. So sorry, there's no footage. I did get footage of shooting a javelina down there at like 55 yards.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty cool. And actually had it all zoomed in and looked at my lighting and changed my lighting. You'd been so proud. I was over there actually making button adjustments and whatnot that I would have ignored 4 months ago. Like, I got it. It's fine. But anyway, send one through him and went right through the top. It was a high to mid-height exit and didn't exit. It actually hit the offside shoulder. I was shooting another big mechanical broadhead. I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. I thought it was it a mega meat? No, it wasn't a mega meat. Was
it the Jekyll?
No, I didn't have any of the evolution broadheads, but so far I'm really impressed with those heads. Really impressed. That'll be definitely on the list of potential users for this year's even elk. I don't think I'd be afraid of using those for elk. Real impressive head, but the God, what the hell was it? It was a carnivore.
Yeah.
Shot a carnivore. I was like, I want something big because these things aren't that big.
Yeah, no, they're pretty
We
small.
measured a chest cavity rib cage top to bottom. It's only 6 inches of a mature deer.
Wow.
Like, they're not very big target. So a 35-yard shot is a bit of a poke, and they do tend to spring. Like, he did that when I shot him. Mm-hmm. So he dropped probably 2 inches from my initial impact point, so it hit him a little high, but and ran so fast.
Was it like the sound that it made super loud when it hit?
Oh, yeah. Like, I hit the offside shoulder, and it was boom.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it hit him hard.
When I shot a deer with the carnivore, it was loud. It was a big watermelon. Whop!
Yeah. So he runs off around the berm because these look like they're man-made water holes where they just brought a dozer in or whatnot and just made a big hill. And he ran around the corner, went back down the other side, and then kicked the arrow out. So he ran like 40 yards, and the arrow was laying on the ground, blade shut. And then he proceeded to run out into the desert. And I get out there and I'm following it. I'm following a blood trail, and it's a pretty easy blood trail to follow. Like, not lying, it was pretty simple, but it was a high shot, right, or high entrance, and no exit hole. So it was once again a reminder of I want to pass through. It was frustrating. Mm-hmm. That's like a couple times I've shot something with a bigger mechanical where it didn't go out the other side, and I figured there's no way I'm not going out the other side on this small of an animal. Right, it's not that big. Yeah, you must have hit
it just perfect.
Yeah, I did. I hit the offside shoulder, just dead center in the socket.
Right in the knuckle, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually did poke through just a little bit, but not enough for it to bleed out. It went through it, broke it, and still he ran so far. Like, it was wild. I went about 150 yards, and then I pulled my phone out, and like, all right, I'm out here a ways. I can still see where the water hole is somewhat, but it's not like desert, like dry with a couple of cactuses. It's like everything's 10 feet high. Like, it's all dry vegetation, but it's all 10 feet high. So you start getting back in there a little ways, and you can't see where you are at all. You lose all visual terrain stuff, right? So I pull my Onyx out to start my tracker. And mind you, right now it's about noon. And my guys are supposed to come pick me up between like probably 3 o'clock. So I pull my phone out to start saving a waypoint. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't want to get in here too far and lose track of where I am. And didn't realize that my Onyx is only in the United States. It doesn't work in there.
Shit.
So mine wouldn't work. So I'm like, oh, God damn, what do I do? So I went a little farther and looked at the clock and went, I better go back just in case, because they could be there as early as 2. I don't want to not be there when they get there, and I'll just wait for them. So I went back, got them, and it was the landowner, Miguel, and Alex, one of the guys I was hunting with. He's a pretty good buddy now, which that reminds me, I got to send him an offset bar. He wanted to try one. Anyway, dug right back into where we were and proceeded to follow this thing so freaking far. I'm like, how is this thing still alive? I don't get it. But apparently they can cover a lot of ground really fast.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the most skittish deer.
You can go a long way
Apparently,
on a death sprint.
a long ass way. But eventually found him and like we got off blood like 3 times for 10 feet and then back on blood. And at I think they ended up coming around 2 and we'd found him by 3:30. But he had gone almost 800 yards.
Was it a hard track job?
No. Like I said, there was probably 3 or 4 times where we got off the trail.
Did you do the autopsy? Was it a 1 lung situation? Or?
No, they cut him open. I hit both lungs. I'm looking at Alex. I'm like, how in the fuck did that thing go so far? And there was blood all the way down his side when we got to him. And we cut him open. He just poured blood out. Like it was a lung shot deer. And that thing went freaking 800 yards. Because Alex's Onyx did work, and he started saving waypoints and went back and measured where I shot him and where he went. And dude, that was 800 yards.
Wow.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Wild. So drug him out, got it all done.
Yeah, show me a photo, by the way.
They're in my email. It's going to take me a minute to find them because Alex took all the photos and then he emailed them to me.
I got you. You can save it if you want to.
But I'll get it to you at some point. But anyway, and he was a 4-point buck, and when I shot him, one of his points on the left side had already been broke off, and sometime from when I shot him till he died, he broke the other one off running through that stuff because he was running so fast and snapped it off. But they were probably that high on his G2, I think it was. Yeah, his G2s are broke off on both sides. One was already broke like that, and the other one about that tall broke off. But the guide said he was probably a 90-inch Coues deer, which is a pretty good sized Coues deer from what I've been told. I had no idea. I wasn't sure. I was just like, oh, okay, you said that was a decent Coues deer. That's what I saw, so I shot it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of experience in that one, and then nobody else had shot a Coues. A couple of javelina getting shot, here and there, but nobody else had shot one. I ended up shooting a javelina the day before. And then I decided to sit over, they had some, what they called management trophy mule deer. So I sat there and watched mule deer for a day and a half after that. And tried to leave the Coues opportunities open to the other 4 guys that were there. I didn't want to fill up a spot, that might be better for them. And then Santos, the guide, picked me up on the last sit of the midday. I was mule deer hunting, so it was morning, evening, not throughout the day. So I would go out early, get dropped off. They'd run everybody, come back and get me at 9 or 10. And then go pick up everybody else by 2 or 3, and then I could go back out and sit in the evening. So I actually had a alternating schedule for most of the other guys. So if something actually happened during the day, I could go out with them and go track and recover, right? Which was more fun to me anyway.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't going to shoot a muley because I just shot two muley a month before, and I'm like, yeah, you'd have to blow my socks off to spend more money. This was I came here to kill a Coues. I killed a Coues, and I'd rather fill the time with something. And sit there, and I almost shot another mule deer. It was not exaggerating, 180-inch 3x3. It was in front of me for 45 minutes.
There's no way I could let it pass.
But here's the thing. Let me clarify. I had little eye guards. So, and Miguel, the landowner, was the one who took me out there and dropped me off. And I was trying to clarify with him. I was like, hey, what's a management trophy versus a trophy? And he said anything 3x3 and smaller is management as long as it's mature. Or, broke off tines, that kind of thing, a lot of broke off tines. I'm like, all right, cool. So I know what I'm not, because I don't want to have to pay for a trophy because it's all by what you shoot down there and it all costs a certain amount of money, right? And the first buck that comes in that first night, which mind you, I think I want to say I might have been that evening after I shot my Coues, they went and sat me for mule deer, right? And I sat down there and I got my camera out. I got it on video. I'll show it to you.
Oh, nice.
I recorded a ton of stuff, just not actual shooting the Coues deer. And really was sitting in my blind playing with settings all day long. It was good practice for learning how to use a camera in that situation, I thought. And I thought I did a relatively good job for a knuckle dragger. But this thing stood in front of me presenting shots for 45 minutes. And it had eye guards, and I didn't know if they were counting the eye guards or not. And I forgot to ask him. They don't, and I figured they didn't, but I didn't want this $7,000 deer to cost $15,000. I'm like, I don't have $15,000 to throw at this thing. And dude, it was a monster. And he never came back. After I learned that, I was like, oh man, if I'd have known that, I'd have had to shoot him. And I sat there every other time, hoping he would come back, and he never came back. And that was the only deer I saw that I was like, yeah, I'd pay for that. That's a monster.
It's a lot of pesos down there.
Yeah, a lot of pesos go a long way.
Yeah.
So, but the highlight of the rest of my sits were the last day after the morning. Santos came and picked me up, and we were going to run to do some different stuff throughout the ranch. And he was showing me different things about the ranch and telling me about some of the other ranches that he guides on, and trying to make this exclusively bow hunting. He wants it just to be bow hunting, set it up just for bow hunting, and get people on that.
Promote that.
Well, most people won't do that, right? And he's trying to be the what do you call him? The king of Lord of the Coues. That's the nickname he's got, right? And so we're maybe an hour into this, looking at stuff and working on things, and we got another guide in the back of the truck with us, and the Alex texts Santos, which Garmin InReach, awesome thing. I left mine on the counter in Nashville, so I didn't have one.
Nice.
Everybody else had one. I'd never used one, and Steve, who invited me originally, said, "Well, you need an InReach," and we actually had one in the shop. We had an InReach Mini, so I was like, "Oh, cool! This is what I need." Threw it in my bag. Got down to Nashville. So I went to Nashville first. Was like the night before I had to leave. I started playing with it, and I trying to figure out how to turn it on, and I'm like, "Oh, it's not charged." So I plug it into one of the ports at the archery shop, where the tablet things are. Went back to helping the guys and working on stuff there, and there it stayed.
Yeah.
And I packed up all my crap and went to the hotel and spent the night right next door to the airport. Got on the plane and went, I don't have an InReach. So fortunately, I didn't die.
It's all good.
But you can text from anywhere.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Anyway, Alex texts Santos and says, "I need you here now." And so, all right. Well, so he bust ass to where Alex is sitting, and he shot a buck. And he's like, "I went like 150 yards. The blood's really good, but I didn't want to go any farther without you." So he went back. We met him, walked, and dude, standing up, not even bending over, looking, it was an immense amount of blood. Like really, really good blood. Not exaggerating. We followed that deer for 600 yards.
Wow.
Never lost the blood. Could see it like a hose. And this deer ran 600 yards. Now, this was way more open. Like it just took off like a shot. So my conclusion is they can probably cover like 600 yards in like 10 seconds or 15 seconds. Like they're that fast. It's wild. I could not believe how much ground this thing covered. But we're following, and they walked off a couple different times. 2 times I found he turned and went a different way, but it was easy enough to follow, right? Like at no point did I get on the ground and was looking for like specks of blood. Mm-hmm. It was stand up. And if you've ever tried to track blood in the desert, it's really hard. Like the ground sucks it in so fast, and it looks like a weird color, and it looks like the dirt. But it was still super easy to follow. Like it took us 15 minutes to find his deer when we started tracking it, and it had gone 600 yards. At max, and it was a monster Coues.
Oh, really?
120-inch Coues.
That's really big. Yeah.
Oh man, it was huge, and dude, he was so ecstatic.
Yeah,
like he was really taken back from it.
Had he done that hunt before?
Yeah.
So he knows how hard it is. To find a deer like that.
He knows how hard it is. So yeah, and nobody else killed the Coues. Steve passed up several that were decent because Steve was looking for 110-inch, 120-inch Coues. Because Steve's killed so many things. It's wild. Like he's killed a ton of stuff. He is a straight killer.
So you guys had how many guys in camp?
5.
And how many got Coues?
2.
Yeah, that's seems about right. Like that's good opportunity. It's pretty hard for everyone to fill their tag archery, and obviously it depends what you're looking for too.
For sure. And the reality of hunting water holes is you could see animals and not have any real opportunity to shoot at them. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. Like the first day I was first morning. Like
and water holes are super infrequent,
yeah, it's wild. And they have a ton of water on that place. Like they're all over. But I'd come in, be in there for 10 seconds, try and leave. They would not meander. They'd come in, a lot of times facing straight for you, put their head down, drink, get up, leave. Like you don't have very long.
Did you get nervous when you shot yours?
No.
How'd you do?
Oh, I stayed calm. Yeah, I mean, like that arrow went right where I pointed it. He just ducked a little bit. And so I after my mule deer experience my whitetail experience in Texas, I was like, I'm not going to hold super low. I'll hold a little low, but not super low. And because everybody said these things drop like crazy. And they did drop. He'd only gotten down maybe 2 inches from where I was pointing at most.
How high up were you?
Barely. I'm not in a tree stand. I'm on the ground.
No cabana in the sky?
No cabana in the sky. No, it's brush blind mostly.
Yeah.
So, and effective, like things weren't typically looking at me. And when they looked at me, they just looked there for a minute and went back down to it. When I was mule deering, I was in actual ground blinds. So, yeah.
Was it cold at night in the desert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really cold. Got really cold at night, but it got up to almost 100 during the day.
Damn.
It's wild.
That is weird.
It was a shock.
It's weird to experience that.
Yeah, and then come back to like what? I'd come from 8 degrees.
Right.
And then went to Nashville for a couple of days, and it was all... Actually, we had some decent weather there. So it was a nice transition. I shouldn't say it was a shock because it was like 50 or 60. So I went from like 8 to 60 to 100.
Yeah, Nashville winters are like lucky to get snow, right?
Yeah, other than it's supposed to be 8 degrees tonight, and they're supposed to get half a foot of snow. And it's supposed to stay for like 4 or 5 days.
And it's going to shut the city down because it never...
They don't have, they don't have
get that
snow
stuff.
removal gear. They just don't. They're not used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody will go anywhere. Other than Matt said, apparently people will come into the store. Guaranteed. The people that their work told them don't come in, they'll get out and drive in and go to the shop.
Yeah, they got the day off, so they're going to go look at stuff.
Hey, did this have caffeine in it or no? Or was it just flavored?
I'm not sure. You have to look. I think it might have a little... I would think so. It'd have a little caffeine.
I'm trying to relate what this reminds me of. But there's a kind of soda that this reminds me of somewhat.
It's got like...
Maybe it's RC Cola. It
Could
kind of
be.
has more of an RC Cola flavor.
Yeah. I don't think it's super similar to Coke.
No,
but
not at all.
it's
It's
similar enough you could pour a drink with it and not feel guilty or whatever. I mean, 10 calories is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's 2 grams of sugar, so it's not bad.
Yeah. The ingredients list is short. I mean,
Yeah.
to manufacture something like that, like, yeah.
Yeah,
I love companies doing that
you
kind
could
of
make
stuff where they're
you
making...
could make a whiskey and Coke with this and not feel bad about it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not bad, huh?
No, it's pretty good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
It was good. So that was my Coues experience. I had a lot of fun.
Did you guys do mule deer fajitas? Or deer, or...
Oh, yeah, we had Coues deer. We ate
fajitas?
Coues deer. We did some steaks, some bacon wrapped steaks. Then I think they did carne asada with it, too.
What was your favorite meal down there?
God, they were all really good.
Traditional?
Yeah, carne asada is hard to beat.
Yeah.
It's a really good one. I'm trying to remember. There was one that jumped out at me, but I'm drawing a blank on
Fresh
what it was.
guacamole?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah.
What were the main veggies they were cooking with? Like peppers and
Peppers.
shit?
It was almost all peppers.
Peppers and onions?
Yeah, peppers and onions, mostly peppers.
Yeah.
They make the irony of this whole thing, because when I went to Mexico the previous time, it was almost the exact same food the entire time. Like they'll pack you something, they'll feed you something in the morning.
Yeah.
They'll give you something to take in your pack to eat during the day, and then it's like these 3 little mini burritos. I think they call them Fritos or something or other.
Frijoles?
Frijoles. Yeah.
That's beans.
Well, so one of them would have beans, and the other 2 would have meat, but they called them something similar to that. Mm-hmm. And they were just rolled up in foil in your pack, and it was very tasty, like super good. And then the tortillas down there are just different, man. They're so good.
Yeah.
I was trying to find a brand or something on them, and they're just these plastic bags, like a vacuum sealed plastic bag. No description, no nothing anywhere.
No
like I
ingredient
asked the lady, so she didn't speak English. I was like, hey, can I see the packaging? I'm like, hey, somebody translate. I want to see if I can order this.
Yeah.
Because wow, I've never had a tortilla that good.
Yeah.
And it was the same things in the other place. And I was probably, ironically, like I had to look on a map, but I bet you I was about 3 hours to 4 hours apart drive time from where I hunted the first time to where I hunted the
Couple
second
hundred miles
time.
as the crow flies?
Yeah, but like one was quite a bit more west, and the other was a bit more south. Like I was in north of Hermosillo, sorry, northwest of Hermosillo. I think it's like a 3 hour drive.
Was the terrain similar or different?
Very, very similar. There, you get out there into the hunting lands, and it's all mountainy. Like there's mountains around you, and the bottoms are deserty, and the Coues deer go up in the mountains, and the mule deer stay down in the bottoms. So the most successful places, when you look at it, like there's water holes all over the place, right? But the water holes that were closest to the mountains were the most successful places.
Right.
They saw the most deer typically.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But yeah, you'd see deer, you'd see javelina, you'd see coyotes. They have way too many coyotes down there. They're working on doing something about that.
There's a Ryan Lampers and Brian Call video where they're hunting
Yeah.
upper Mexico, and Ryan's talking about how like where they're at, it's low densities, but potentially bigger deer.
Sure.
And you could tell it was a real low density situation. Like I don't know if they're seeing a couple deer a day or something like that, but they're looking hard, and they're in some pretty remote stuff, like up high, similar to what you're describing. Like seems like especially the bigger Coues are gravitating toward this stuff that's kind of remote.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll go up in the top.
Yeah.
Like where you can see forever.
I just like to watch one of those guys feed. Like they must go along and pick stuff off of cactuses.
They are eating, I'm trying to remember what the frick it was. There's particular type of cactus that has this little bulb on the end
Yeah,
of
and
it.
they're plucking the bulb.
Yeah, and they're plucking the bulb. And it's full of freaking thorns, and they're eating
Yeah.
it with the thorns.
Yeah.
There were multiple times when I sat over for mule deer, it was over food, and they'd all come in really close, and you could see them really well for long periods of time. The amount of them that had that shit stuck to their face, like just there was a doe that had one stuck right next to her eyeball, and her eye was all swole up big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and every one of those deer had chunks stuck to their body.
It's not cholla, is it?
Yes, it's cholla.
Yeah.
It's cholla.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cholla.
So did they tell you about cholla to like stay away from it?
Yeah, don't fucking touch
Yeah.
it. Oh yeah, it's like a hook.
Yeah.
You ain't getting it out. And fortunately, cross my fingers and knock on some wood. That's 2 full trips down there. I did not get stuck with anything
cholla?
bad. I get little thorns and whatnot, but not cholla.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything's pokey down there.
You know, the
folks.
other one that's a real bastard on the other side of the world is in Alaska. There's this thing called Devil's Club.
Yeah, I've heard
you
of
heard of that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So bad because when it goes in you, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it like festers and like, yeah, it can be a bad situation. You get into Devil's Club without any protection. So
Not good stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There's almost every environment that's nasty has stuff in it that's just nasty to deal with. Bad juju.
yeah, so yeah, you getting to experience some stuff. What do you think about it?
I've enjoyed it, man. I've really had a good time. I'm happy that I'm doing these things.
Does it leave you feeling like, oh, I want to go back and do that again, or does it leave
Yeah.
you feeling like, hey, I just want to explore more interesting hunts? You know?
Bit of both. It inspires me to try new things and do more experiences because at the end of the day, people go, "What are you into?" I was like, "I want to kill stuff.
Yeah.
I want to try everything." And then get a real passion for it instead of trying this one thing that I go, God, I love that. That's all I want to do. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, you haven't experienced all the other stuff. So how do you know?
Yeah.
And that's part of my hope is over like the next 5 to 10 years, I can do the antler slam. And then when I'm done with that, I'll determine which one of those things I enjoyed the most and probably just do that the rest of my time.
Yeah.
You know, but God, what a great experience. All of them been such great experiences. I haven't had a bad experience yet,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna. I'm sure will.
Well,
I would have liked to have seen more Coues deer opportunity. I think we were just spread out too much. There was just so much water. There's so many different places they could go.
yeah, it's hard to nitpick exactly.
It's
where
hard to
they're gonna end up
nitpick for
being.
sure. Yeah.
And then those deer, I mean, they're not like, I'm estimating they're not on a pattern, you know, like they'll hit one water hole and they just might have like a big loop that they hit,
Well,
you know?
interesting story for Alex. Alex shot that deer on the first day he was there. Like the same deer he killed, he shot it the first day, and it went through the void. Didn't hit nothing.
Oh, he shot it.
He shot it, hit it,
Oh my God.
tracked it, saw it like 300 yards later, and pulled up his binos and went, "Oh, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him." He figured it. He had some stuff on his arrow, but nothing good. And he actually shot it in the spine, but somehow managed to not hit the nerves that would drop him. And that deer came back to the same spot. He hunted the
crazy.
same spot and shot him on day 5.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, and seemed fine.
Yeah.
Like wasn't limping, wasn't favoring, wasn't doing anything weak, and ducked both times a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like 6 inches at 25 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen.
Well, that's a whole chest cavity on one of those deer. They're only
Yeah.
6 inches.
Yeah, you're not talking about a big kill area.
Yeah, so time to target's a pretty big deal there.
Yeah.
Lighter arrow might be a little bit more of an advantage.
Get it there.
Yeah, get it there quicker.
So do you have any, up on the backside of that, do you have anything you would have changed or modified?
If I was to do that over again, if I could set it up the way I'd want to do it, I'd want it to be in tower blinds. So you're a bit more of an elevated position. You have a sealed, contained environment. I would love it to be over a food source as opposed to the water. I would want to be near water, but I would want to be on, hey, they went to water, they're going to hit some food, and then they're going to go up in the mountains. And force them to be in more of a given spot because we're hunting water holes that are 80 yards, 100 yards across. Mm-hmm. There's so many different places for them to come in such a short amount of time to make a good controlled shot. That part was hard. I would think if they were more positioned over food, I think just about everybody would have had an opportunity to shoot a decent Coues at that point in that scenario. And being in a tower blind overhead of that would have been way more effective. And if you get up just 6 feet, you could see everything. But being on the ground, it was so hard to see, right? Because once again, the highest stuff's 10 feet tall. If you could be up, a 6-foot platform or a 10-foot platform and then standing up on that, you can see anything. Like you'd see stuff coming a lot easier and could be more prepared for a short impact or short sequence. Right. So when you don't see it until the thing's practically standing there, that's difficult when it's not going to stand there for very long. And knowing that they go up into the mountains, there's natural travel corridors you could set that up in where it would kind of
stuff,
pinches. Yeah. And get them positioned easier, put something around the back side of the food source so they're not going to come in that way. They're going to come in a direction in which you could shoot them. Wouldn't be terribly hard to do it. It would be more cost inhibited, but if you're running a guiding service, that sort of thing, that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I'd totally do it again. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great hunt, and the neat part of it is it was so late in the year. Like it was, almost February. I was like February.
Yeah.
It was like February. I was deer hunting in February.
Yeah, you're
like
filling up.
my brain was done hunting December 15th 5 years ago. Like I didn't even realize it. And but what I did learn is the pre-rut for most of these things, whether it be mule deer or Coues, is actually the most effective time to kill them because they haven't gone into rut yet. They haven't started breaking off antlers and fighting like crazy and running all over hell and gone. And you can do that in the first part of December, late November, early December. But now you're competing with the whitetail seasons up here, right, that are rut or post-rut.
Yeah, you're filling up a time of year where there's, who's hunting in January or February. It's pretty uncommon.
And that part's great. Like I wouldn't be opposed to. I think you could do some really killer management hunts.
Well, what about snakes? Did you see?
I still never saw a snake.
Yeah,
like the whole time, like either of them.
There's got to be rattlesnakes.
It was
down there.
Oh yes, it was plenty hot enough. It was very cautious. Like check everything, check whatever you get into, watch where you step. I never saw one.
They advised you on that?
Oh yeah, they were very, very cognizant of that, and they apparently do have a lot of snakes down there in that area.
God, I should have had you smuggle me back a cowboy hat. I'd like
a real one.
Like a real one, yeah.
Like a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been a lot less pesos than up here.
Oh, you're not wrong. Like most things were cheaper.
A good cowboy hat up here is a couple $100.
Yeah, well, like just food in general. Like it was actually the food was cheaper. A soda was cheaper. Like everything was cheaper.
Yeah,
it just kind of makes me scratch my head. I was like, so why is it more expensive in America when they got better distribution systems and all that kind of thing?
Yeah,
like you would think it should be cheaper.
A lot more regulation, and
and
I think that adds to.
Maybe we need to shrink the government. Oh boy,
yeah.
Are we pissing off now?
Are you? Have you been following the Doge stuff?
I have. That's been very exciting. I swear every day.
What's the most shocking thing you've seen from Doge? I think mine was 50 million for condoms or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, was it that much? I know it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah. For condoms in...
It was a shitload.
Was it in Gaza or something or other?
Yeah, and like some tens of millions to produce a Sesame Street play in the Middle East and just all sorts of crazy, wild expenses. I mean, I think
the biggest shocking one I've seen so far, which... I'm hoping these things are accurate that we're seeing, right? That they're not just, fictitiously things out in the air, but the people that are drawing off Social Security, the number of people and the number of people over the age of 100.
Yeah.
Like what? What? It's so blatantly fraud.
Like it takes Elon Musk and a team to figure that out. You know what I mean?
Well, and when they go into a place, like it's less than 24 hours, and they've got it ripped apart, and they know so much crap. It's wild. There's something like 390 something million people that are on the on Social Security. I'm like, there's only 333 million people in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I mean, I think most Americans had an idea that the government was spending money on stuff that was, gray. But to actually see it like line items of just the wild stuff that it's being spent on, it's surprising. It's pretty egregious, to be honest.
Well, but we all kind of knew it, right?
We kind of knew it.
But nobody actually was like, we're going to stop this.
Turn a blind eye to it.
Well, I don't think it's just turn a blind eye to it, Tim. I think it's like, well, what the hell can we do about it?
Right.
Like if you feel helpless. Yeah. They're kind of screwing you. They're kind of swindling you. But you don't feel like you can do anything about it. And like anybody's ever going to care. Well, fortunately, somebody cared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm super excited to see where it goes from here.
I am too.
Like I can't wait for him to get into Medicare and Medicaid. Like I'm so excited. The number of things they're going to stick their nose into and find fraudulent is just amazing.
I hope there's some reform with healthcare too. Like I hope the cost per visit gets more on par with like other countries and stuff like that, because it's pretty wild.
Well, our government allows the insurance and the healthcare systems to gouge everybody,
Right?
And hyperinflate the cost of things, which is where so much of their profit comes from.
Yeah.
It's just wild, and it's like, hey, you can't do this. You're destroying this country financially. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes. I'm super psyched though. I really am. Like I don't know if I've ever had this level of optimism of a future in our country as I do now, right now.
Yeah, I feel real good about it. You know, the other side's favorite thing to do right now that I'm seeing is, can you believe President Trump showed up at the Daytona 500? What is that for a cost? And it's like, dude, that's the cost of doing business. Like, the president showing up at an event because the president wants to be at an event, which is good for, I mean, it's probably good for him, but it's good for the people to like see him, to be there, to be proud. Like, I see and feel more American pride than I've maybe ever felt in my lifetime.
Right after 9/11.
For me, currently.
Right after 9/11.
I was young at 9/11, you know.
Oh, okay.
But
so you don't remember it?
I remember it. I remember where I was, but
there was a unification of the entire country in American pride. And it's the first time I'd ever remember seeing it. It's pretty wild.
Did you see the hockey game thing?
Yeah, that was cool.
That was
awesome.
Really freaking cool.
Just highlight things. I didn't actually watch it, but
yeah, same.
Yeah,
but in
three
short,
fights in the first 9 seconds.
In short, the U.S. team got booed during the national anthem.
Well, it was in Canada, right?
In Canada,
yeah.
And I guess Trudeau was at the game, and they just came out fist fighting, guns blazing, ended up winning the game. And I have
3-1, if I remember right.
Yeah, I have a lot of Canadian friends. A lot of Canadians I love, but to boo somebody during their national anthem, like, you're just disrespecting them.
Yeah.
You know? And that was only because Trudeau was in the building, I'm sure. You know? Like,
well, I mean, I think so if I remember right, Canada has state-sponsored news. So whoever's in power controls what they see on TV, right?
A large amount of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the reality of that one is they're probably being told this is all bad and it's all the U.S.'s fault, et cetera,
be curious what they're hearing, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're going to think negative, right? Yeah. Sure. That's fine. So I get that. But, you know, that guy's getting out of power here real quick.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what comes in place.
It will be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, fire's out. That's the Fireside Chat. We appreciate you guys. We're going to have to rip off a Q&A pod here pretty soon.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, you should post this time. I posted last time. It'll be good to hear from your people, and we'll go through, get some questions, and yeah, it'll be good.
Okay.
So
we'll do it.
Yeah. So for this one, this will come out anyway. If you have questions, drop them down below. Maybe it'll get answered in a Q&A podcast. If not, the next one, maybe a future one. So
right on.
That's Fireside Chat.
Peace.
Goodbye.